Tough titties. Great room. Hey, we're live. Okay, cool. It's working. It's working, boss. Oh, you know what would really help with that is if I A, copy my link for the people, B, went to my stinking dashboard, and C, put this on the other screen so I can see what people say. Nope, it's too big. It's too wrong. It's all busted. You suck, Sarah. Oh, no. No viewers. Do you want the link so you can see it?
To me?
I will. Well, you want those stupid channel points, right? So, yeah. I'm going to send a message. I'm going to say, yeah. Also, I sent you the link. What? Oh, yeah, that is kind of... Laundry room is shit. I'm sorry. Okay, we're
Just
here.
Like, it's so small. A very small room, a bathroom.
Yeah.
It's like,
At least the laundry room, you got some angle options.
I just always feel so obligated bringing it.
Okay. All right. We'll give it a minute for people to show, if anyone will. I'll look this up while you get through that. Twitch sub points. What are those for? I don't actually know. Points towards unlocking more emote slots. Got it. Also, I renamed my channel point Seashells because I'm cute like that. And I have infinity of them because it's my house and I do what I want. So technically, I could bet and people could win whatever I put in there, I think. All right. Yeah, we got predictions. I can do predictions. I can do all kinds of crap. It's fun. Can I add that to my quick actions while we're waiting? Uh, nope. Whatever. What? Oh, you got through it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just like
Invite. Play.
Kick me out.
If I invited you?
No, I said leave. Wait, is that game or leave set?
It'll leave session.
Yeah,
the first time.
Just
yeah, the fact they don't have a different button for quit sucks a little bit.
Right.
Oh yeah, you're in the room now. Okay, cool. All right.
I am not. Push.
I don't know. It depends on if you're coming through on my mic or not, I guess. I can turn on audio and just... Maybe. I'm not hearing you come through on mine. Okay, I think we're okay. I think we're all right. I'm not. If someone shows up and complains, I can fix it. All right, I have to put this on my other thing so I can actually see it. My computer can breathe. Little things like a computer not overheating and blowing up when you play games. Oh, and actually seeing your chat when you're streaming. Oh, and being sexy and awesome and great. Oh, okay. So, 2 viewers now. Ooh, okay. That's enough to start, right? Okay. You're in the room. We're going to do the button. Boop. Hey, look at that. 2 spookies. Oh, you've chosen Tanglewood as your starting map. That's fine. What are the dailies? You probably already started. Hi, Chris.
Yeah.
Say hi to Chris, everybody. Dailies. Spirit Box. Ghost. Complete stuff. Media. I lied. I'm at 26 on Ranger Challenge. I thought I had 30 by now. I'm sad. Well, I'm the jump in a hole. Yeah, media. That's fine. Ready up? Oh, wait. I gotta change to my, Widow homies. Here we go. Now you can ready up.
Nothing to say. I think I'm all straight line.
Straight line. Just one of everything.
Yeah.
I have slightly different loadouts with other people because there's no reason for me to have the headgear when I'm playing alone. At all.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't bother with that shit.
No need, no need.
No need. I'm not gonna watch myself.
Give me this. Give me this. Give me this. Give me this.
Temperature.
Give me this. Give me this. Oh, I got the level 3 firelight. Yeah. I'm a busy. Got the flame. I got a flame for you. Step 1. Find thing. Mirror. Don't think it's tarot card. Don't see. Oh, well, there's the bone. Click. That counted. Oh, fuck. Okay, good. Couldn't see the bone in the photo, so I had to go in the thing. Nope, not in the garage.
Music box.
We're on professional.
Music.
Get this photo. Nice. I'm going in the basement to find that fuse box, baby. Listen to it, buddy. Boop. Fuse box is now on. To turn on the basement light.
Ghost doors?
Ghost doors
In the-
in the boys' bedroom.
Bedroom. The lights, turning on the lights, finding okay, cool. Finding places in the hallway, hide from frights. Let's see here. Got 5 degrees. That sounds about right. Oh, love that for us. Yeah. Video camera before tome. We can make sure we have a chance of recording it. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes. A little time? Yeah, I've actually been using that trick a lot. Good job finding that. I didn't know that. Genuinely did not know that. Big dumb.
It's on, it's
That's probably fine.
letting you know.
Oh shit, something's happening in the room.
Oh, the camera just got thrown. Light just got turned on.
Yeah, there was a sound, but I didn't get to it in time.
I couldn't tell if I got.
I don't have UV or I just hit that. There's a lot of stuff in here that could be UV. Okay, I'm putting dot.
Excellent. I got light switch.
Good.
You have bone. I have not.
I have bone. Yes, I have bone.
Excellent.
Are you friendly? Are you in your butt? Well,
That's 2.
to what?
Ghost orbs and
Oh yeah.
Slut hurt.
What hurt?
Slut hurt.
Slut hurt? I mean, sometimes I do, yeah. Bad news, Spirit Box is potential mimic evidence. I turned off the Spirit Box for the reason of, you know, not having the sound recorder get overloaded by it. It's sitting outside.
Yes,
I need a sound power ball, and I'm good.
There's something behind me. Go now. Hurry. Behind me, Chris. Fuck you, I'm getting it. Find it? It's right on top of me. I recorded it. Oh, it spritz. Blood hurties. Why does spritz blood hurties? I don't remember. That sounds relevant, but I forget why. Doing good as a person. Ugh. Hey, there we go. I can see. Oh, I almost got lights flickering. Sorry. Got light switch, but not flickering, right? Yeah, those are different. I don't know if that's a great angle for dots. Yeah, the camera does a little bit better in this room by the bed, by the lamp. Facing out, because then you can see everywhere the dots are scanning. You can see that closet door if it opens and shuts. You know what I mean? What?
Oh,
What?
you get the door move.
No, I'm not in there right now. No, I was using a different camera entirely. I was walking away, getting a bunch of stuff together. Sorry. Still trying to figure out if we got UV or not, so. Oh. Don't forget there's a book outside. Yes, we got UV. I need photo. You got photo of UV already?
No.
No,
I got it. Like, oh, synergy, bitch.
Oh, hey.
Oh, hey.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were that in line? No, I'm taking it. Screw it. I think that's the kind of bug where if you get it, you've earned it.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, sure.
Create that if we need.
That's like frame perfect. That's amazing.
Excellent.
That does mean it did the unique check at the same time. Yeah, there's a fingerprint on there too. So we definitely have UV.
Everything.
That's everything, isn't it?
What are you talking about? Oh, well, let me look. Ultraviolet is also a mimic tell.
Ultraviolet, ghost orb, spirit box.
Yeah, but ghost orb is the fourth thing for mimic.
Shit, you're right.
Yeah. I am. I'm putting a motion sensor. You got a video camera?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, you only want it once. Have fun. I'm also gonna put some salt. If we get footprint, that's another thing we can record. Oh, there we go.
Ooh,
There's salt.
There's salt. There's footprint. There's footprint. There's footprint. I got it. Boom. We're done with photos.
Oh, we're done with
Oh, we're done with audio.
Oh, book moving.
Video.
We have freezing. It's a mimic. Get a. Yep. It's a mimic. It's a mimic. It's a mimic. All right. And you got the motion sense.
That was motion sense. That's 5
Uh,
photos.
we gotta get rid of one of those.
Duplicate.
Okay, we need one more video and one more. No, we got sound. So yeah, we just need one more video. An object moved. And, let me look. Door just opened.
Door move.
Did you get it?
No. Oh. What do we already have?
Oh my God! Get that! Get that now! Oh, did you get it?
I don't think
I didn't either. I tried. He disappeared before I could. Damn.
Yeah.
Heck. Okay.
the music box.
Music box.
That's up to you. You gotta be able to hide from him. The only hiding spot. Well, let's check the garage. Let's see if the garage is open as a hiding spot. Because we can use salt to slow it down now. Remember?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if the garage hiding spot is open, then no.
Damn.
I don't know if that's smart.
No.
I don't think that's worth it.
Too good, too close.
Yeah, there used to be lockers down here, I thought, but they're gone now. There is plywood down here you can hide behind. If there is a hiding spot in the back of the garage, if you want to go for not the garage, the basement, all the way back there on the right. I think that's what they replaced the lockers with, was that. That's not always there. So we could salt it up. You can run downstairs and hide if you're feeling daring.
Not so close.
So close. Let's do safe and sorry.
Yeah, okay, have we done all of our optionals?
Oh, are missing.
A member of the team escaped during a hunt. Capture a photo of the ghost. Oh, we gotta get rid of a photo. I want to keep. I'm going to delete music box. We can get that photo again, worst case. I want to keep the 2 fingerprints because it's funny, and I want to see if it keeps it when we hit the end.
Yeah.
So get rid of the music box photo. I will grab the camera.
That's the case.
That's the case. We should consider maybe the music.
No, that's what I'm saying. Let me set up. We're going to do salt. We're going to do incense. Each grab an incense if we can help it.
Incense, our sanity is low.
That's fine. We just have to get its photo, which is why I've got the camera. And you can get the video in between those 2 things. Hopefully we get it. We got one more delete if we fuck up the photo, but I'm not that hellbent. I don't know.
Yes, we can. Set me up, tell me where to be, and I'll run.
I'm gonna put one here. Put one here. Put it here, okay? We gotta get into the basement and hide, basically. Alright, music box, probably end of the hallway like where I'm at would be good. And you'll have video up. Remember to, well, I mean, if you start playing and throw it, oh shit. You disconnect? Iggy? Oh no. Oh no!
Hunting ghost.
Oh
But thoughts.
shit.
Oh, is my dead body still worth a photo?
Yeah, but we won't get perfect game. Well, no, because the 3rd objective was getting a photo of the ghost. Alright, well, we tried. I'm not going to do it if for both of us die. It's not worth it at all. Oh, that didn't count as me escaping? He was coming at me! Is it because he got you?
You.
I escaped! I used the thing, he was so close to me, and I burnt it and ran down the... Alright, well, it can suck my whole wiener then. I'm out of here. It's a mimic. We know it's a mimic.
Mimic. It ordered me around the island.
Yeah, I don't know why you went that way.
He was already walking towards you, and I'm like, oh, fuck.
Yeah. I thought we were going down to the basement.
I know, but I didn't expect him to start coming. He was, and I was this way.
Welcome back. I've got some jobs ready for you.
I could do a really cheeky prediction, be like, will Chris live through the next one?
Ooh.
Are you signed in? Do you have a way? You should see about that. Hey, Spritzy, I have enabled channel points. Have you been claiming yours? I got 3 dailies out of that, so it wasn't all bad. I'm level 76. Automatically? There's a little click thing. I thought every 15 minutes you have to click and get it. Alright, cool. Kill. Get started here. Start a prediction. Ooh.
Ooh. Prediction. Ooh.
Oh. Okay. Okay. Okay, Chris, I'm gonna do this. Not seeing any click thing. Just getting 10 every so. Oh, it's supposed to be every 15 minutes. I thought you had to. It might have been outdated. The bottom where it says how many seashells you have. I thought there was a thing you have to click every time. But if you're just getting them, then awesome. Cool. Then you can play with those. Neat. I've also added things you can claim and whatnot. So there's all kinds of fun shit now. You can say I can't swear for a certain amount of time. You can force me to sing everything I say for a while. I forgot what I actually turned on. Unlock a random sub. What? Emote. Oh, right on. Oh, you can gotcha emotes. That's fun. Use an emote to unlock for more. Modify one to make it all sideways. Okay. Make one big. There's lots of stuff you can do. Okay, cool, cool, cool. I've only sort of played with it, but the thing I was going to play with... Who will... Here's the question. Do we want to say, will Chris live through the next one, or we want to say, who will die next? I died. Sometimes I die.
I will die next.
Yeah.
You only had
One?
All right. I'm going to say 60 seconds. 1 minute to place your vote. So the ghost shouldn't be able to do anything. Confirm prediction. The streamer or a mod will need to confirm the outcome within 24 hours to the end of the prediction submission window. You cannot change it set to delete or to close submissions. If an outcome isn't selected or a prediction is deleted, all channel points will be returned to participating viewers. Mods who have voted will not be able to choose the outcome. Yeah, okay. Valid. All right. Oh, I can't do my own. I can't predict on my own one, so I can't just throw a billion points in there. All right, you got a little bit of time to choose. Oh, I can actually. Oh, I can't. I can't cast prediction on my own channel. It costs 10 points at least to predict who's going to die next. And it will tell me how many people have voted and show a badge next to them when they chat. So this will be fun. This will be fun. Chris is really hoping it's me. Now that loads it a little bit because he knows how to get me dead. It would not be the first time. All right. All right. All right. So, I don't know if Spritzy's going to do it. We're almost out of time. Almost out of time. Oh, he did. He did. I thought Chris picked. All right. Spritz has no faith in me. Chris, you died. You picked the map, honey.
Would win.
Would win.
All right. Are we ready?
Okay.
So, Spritz has voted that I will die next. The odds appear to be 1-to-1, so I don't think he gets any real bonus if he wins. But hey, I think he gets 20 if he wins and 0 if he loses or something like that.
I hope he wins.
I hope he wins too for your sake. It's snowing.
It's not raining.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
I can always volunteer to be banned, bitch.
Banned bitch. What's the fun of that? Don't rig the game. If you rig the game, it's not a game. No one. Oh, something over here going on. Wait, 35, 69. Something is loud, right? Oh, it's you. You show up as a sound on parabolic. Okay, no, that's fine. There's a 12 decibel right here. Oh, click. We have a summoning circle. I'd check the temp around there if you're gonna do that. That is the only place I'm really... I saw sound flicker there and kind of over here somewhere. Yeah, when the temp sucks, this is what I do. And there's ways to get points. There's lots of little ways to get points. Catching multiple streams in a row is a big one. You get a bunch of extra points for that. On the flip side, you are consistently very loud. I found the bone. In a towel. Oh, this hiding spot's not here. That's you. I don't sacrifice shit. Don't rig the game. 12 decibels over here. Somewhere in this vicinity is where I keep getting things. So I think it's the outer area around the campfire and shit, but don't quote me on that. Yeah. I got something over by the summoning circle earlier, kinda, and I got something right here a bit ago, and... yeah, temp's gonna be hard, because of the situation. So... it's gonna be tricky. That's... oh, we're getting an event.
Red blue ghost.
Did you get his photo, video, or something?
God, saw it and then
Yeah, sorry, it was already over by the time I got there. I think it was, it's hitting your sanity, you're at 60-something. Yip, yip, yip. Happens. I'm gonna load this one up so we have 2 cameras out. Grab a dots and at this thing. As well. Yeah. One thing is, even if you don't notice the ghost orb, as long as you're recording and it catches it, you know you have it. I do not see ghost orbs, though. Also, it will not be freezing temperatures just because snow. They are nice enough for that. They're waiting until the stupid freezer in the diner for that. Torture you with it. Not even sure if it's here, but this is where I kept getting sounds, so. 0.1. Oh yeah, the fucking, the dots projector also makes a consistent noise. Something happened. Check if in this tent is any colder.
remove.
Yeah, it's doing an event. I took a generic photo to see... oh shit! Wait, no. Took a generic photo to see if it worked.
Good.
It did. I got EMF reading, apparently.
Oh.
I threw that before I entered the room.
Say what the
Say what the number was.
No. 3.6. Yeah, it's outside the tent. This is 3 degrees right here. We're in the right spot. Move this crucifix a little closer. Oh, Jesus, it's hunting. Didn't even have a camera on me. That's aggressive.
Crazy.
I'm gonna keep the camera on me, I think. That was... wow. I mean, you were low sanity, but damn. Oh, shit, I'm at 40. Yeah, okay, this, well, your ass up, for whatever it's worth. Maybe next time, Spritzy. Ten channel points awarded to 0 viewers. Nobody thought that LM would die. Nobody thought that would happen.
Don't know me very well, do you? Our long-time viewers would understand there's no situation I...
Apparently D&D was canceled for Liz. And she's not in the room with us right now! I don't want to punch her in the mouth. I'll kiss her in the mouth. Wow.
In the face.
She's like my most consistent customer at this point. I'm not going to punch her. Kidding me? Yeah. And she bakes me fucking cookies. Like, come on. Have some sense, man. Is I'm just gonna do the other one. Yeah, fuck me. Huh? Let's crack the other crucifix. It spawned over by the stupid circle. Demon. Gonna go ahead and like, our Christ compels you to shut the fuck. Okay, we're gonna eat. Walk through the salt, whore. Fuck you, vanishing. We have UV for sure. Demon's on my list. Hi, Lizzie. Demon is super on my list. It was just, it's so aggressive. Trying to narrow it down before shit goes to hell.
Or something bad.
Come on, man. I'm doing my best over here.
I'm playing here. You know, before, you know, something important stuff.
Chris. Come on.
$5 photo.
Yes! I got the extremely expensive he died photo. You know, the one that was worth all the money. The photo of my dead friend. Great life insurance policy, I tell you what.
There are many people who have agreed.
Literally all I have. Okay. Yes, I'll always have the photo to remember his corpse by. Oh. Okay. Entities in check. That photo's done? Unless I got a photo of the ghost. Circle, bone, footprint, dead body, EMF reading. I can always get another photo of the summoning circle. Confirm that if you would. Yes, the summoning circle. The only thing there I can never get another photo of. Yep. What? I'm not really expecting full evidence this time, I'll be honest. Good talk. Stupid fucking question. Are you friendly? Is it safe? Where are you? Are you nearby? How did you die? Do you make me poop my pants? Are you French? What's up? Bitch ain't giving me shit. Alright, fuck you. And I'll just be rude. Just be rude. No, I haven't tried playing saxophone at the spooky bitch yet, but, you know. Spooky bitch! Get out of here, ghost! Get out of here, ghost! Not your house! Spooky bitch! I do a prediction to say if I will identify this ghost before I fucking die. Oh, Liz has an icon I don't recognize. But she's doing lots of things. Our prediction. Right. All right. All right. 1 minute. Start your prediction. Let's go. Oh. Oh, I can't. Fine. I can't say spooky bitch in there. It doesn't meet content guidelines. There you go. Oh, yeah. That light flickering doesn't count, apparently. Fuck you. Oh, we got Dot's Ghost. It barely, but we got Dot's Ghost. Dots and UV. It did go right for you and suck your sanity dry. Not seeing orbs. Let's double check. So far, the belief is, yes, I will identify the ghost. Oh, yeah, we do have orbs. We weren't in the right spot. So it's a Banshee! Yes, I guess Liz, it was correct. I genuinely thought... I genuinely thought there would be more time between setting that up and getting it. So, Chris is dead. I'm inclined to leave.
Take the win.
I'm gonna go get that photo of the summoning circle again. I see a Dots Ghost directly in my fucking face. Good enough. Bye, slut. Checks out. He was all over your ass, so... Alright. Well, we're playing with predictions. It's fun, right? Kind of fun. Ugh. Alright, have you marked it, pig boy? Oh yeah, Pos Laugh is the subscriber emote right now, so... Liz can have her favorite toy. Alright, Lindsay, question of the day. Do you want to join us? I didn't actually... I should look if you answered that elsewhere. Oh, she smiled. Okay, she smiled. She nodded. Okay. 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 Let me invite your ass. Let me invite your sexy ass. That means we can have a fucking three-way prediction of who's gonna die first. Yeah, but you know what that means, right? If more people are watching, the odds are based on who votes for what. So if everyone votes that you're gonna die first, anyone that picks anyone else would get much better rewards. I believe. Hi, Lizzie. Oh.
Hello.
Hi.
All right. Same rules as before. Dead person, first dead gets to pick the new map. All right, I've added Liz to the roster of who will die first. Everyone can vote on this but me. So there you go, guys. Predict who will die next.
Boy, howdy. If this isn't hedging my fucking bets.
What?
I made my pick.
You made your... Is it you? I don't see any picks yet.
I'm ready.
Oh, did you vote?
I don't have a Twitch.
Oh, you don't have a Twitch.
Well, I have a Twitch.
Well, I have a Twitch, but I don't have access to that email.
Oh. You can't just sign in with like Google or something?
No, it locked me out.
Oh.
Yeah,
So it's not meant to.
We'll Twitch
I will
eventually.
Twitch eventually, because I know I have it saved on PC,
Okay.
but not on my phone, because my phone
You
doesn't.
have to fix that then before you lose access on PCB. No one has voted. Okay. Point Hope. Piggy has chosen Point Hope.
The map that I've played more than every other map put together.
Alrighty.
It is.
On the way to the car?
Big disconnect.
Oh.
Way to start.
Good way to
Detective
start.
Ghost presence with the motion center, front with a crucifix, scream at God, shit on the bed, fart, fart, fart. Got it.
Motion sensor. Okay.
But I don't want to
when
be
it-
chased by the ghost.
No choice sometimes. Oh, and it's sunset.
Oh, pretty.
It's my favorite ghost time. Yeah. Alright. It's fine.
Spooky bitch. Right here.
Excellent. I love it.
Ooh, 40.
Because you have to actually keep it going long enough for you to take a picture.
It is early still.
Alright. Someone find that bone.
Well, it likes the freezer.
Doodle 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 doodle.
Throwing up.
Doop bop bop boop bop boop bop boop. Motion sensor. Boop bop boop doop boop doop bop doop doop doodle
So wait,
doop
if
doop
nobody
dots.
died-
If nobody dies, it carries over into the next round. It's just who will die next, not who will die first. I could hold that any time. I can even leave it so the options don't change. So if it's who will die next and we go through the whole round and it starts over, then the person you picked has a chance of happening again. If you're that cocky that no one else is going to bite it, I guess. Doot, doot, beep, doot, 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 doot.
Hey,
What?
Ouija board. Camera.
There a video camera in here? I don't see a video camera in the kitchen.
There is.
Is it on a counter? There it is. Okay. Just trying to make sure I know where it is, because I set up a motion sensor.
Oh yeah. Found this.
Motion sensed. Now throw the motion sensor on the ground. Still looking for the bone?
I found the bone!
Nice. I love it when Liz gets boned.
Go for bow. We have first off. It was a dead-on picture right there. Center of the camera.
Did not work.
They took the picture, but the picture's
Hey. Gonna go in the house with my glowy stick. I'm gonna show the ghost my glowy stick. I'm gonna get in here, be real cool. Glowy stick like a freaking fool. Stick it to the man. Glow stick. Touch the window, whore, 'cause I can. Don't you want to leave a mark on something? Don't you want to do something to make me not have to sing? Aren't you sick of me making signs? Oh, there we go. Touch the window. Photo, please. Did we get it?
Fingerprint.
Cool.
Car.
And I'm gonna go ahead and do like this right here. Oh.
What supplies?
Oh, something made a noise but didn't record it. Is that Mason? Mason dying?
Yeah, he's dying. By dying, I mean smoking weed.
That sucks. We need to find the spirit box.
It's a spirit box.
Spirit box, spirit box. Do 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 noise. Do 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 do. Average sanity 50%. Liz, you are actually the lowest for once.
hey.
Have that effect on people. Did we get 5?
Yeah, that makes sense. I've been in the dark a long time.
It sounds different too.
What did you go that way?
Why did I go in the bathroom? I was making sure that the shower worked. We're low enough sanity. I'm like, yeah, I should probably know where hiding spots are. Okay, we have a spirit box. Where's my recorder? Where'd I put my... Oh, you ready to record?
Got the paranormal whisper. Are you friendly?
Oh, that's a 5.
You wanna hurt us?
Record that.
Oh, good. I thought that was what that noise was.
Yeah, you can record EMF 5 and actually as one of the sounds.
Do you wanna hurt us? Are you a scared little bitch?
Wow, rude. Doing salt.
Something tells me this ghost doesn't respond to spirit box.
And we have footprints. There's our last photo if we get it. Do we get it?
No photo.
I need a camera. Turn on the fucking light. It's gone now. You kind of gotta be pretty quick about it when you want those. Where's all our fucking shit? We have freezing temps. Get a photo of that on one of these stupid things. There. It's a gin. Crossburn. Film? No, too late. Here's this. Someone have a video camera on it. Current crucifix is worth 10. Cool. Okay, those are done. Motion sent. We need so much video. Video?
Oh, no.
It's coming! Someone dead?
No!
Film it! Film it! Film it!
Filmed it.
I filmed it. I filmed it.
Sorry, Liz.
Sorry, Liz.
We should go get some,
Sanity, man.
that too. While we're doing that, I'm gonna go ahead and mark that prediction. Yeah. And no one got any points because no one voted.
Sanity 5. Because
I have 8.
Alright, we need a lot. We gotta repel it with incense when it's chasing us. Your guys' incense sucks.
No, get the good one. Yeah.
Okay,
You need more video.
yeah, we really do.
I'm gonna bring the other.
Hold on. Let me look at what we have for vid. We need disturbed salt.
Oh.
I'm gonna bring the rest of salt because it helps us live.
You said we have freezing temps.
We have freezing temps, yes.
And what was the other one?
UV, freezing temps, and EMF 5, I'm pretty sure. Which would make it a gin.
Recorder, 3 more video.
I haven't got a visual on EMF 5. I've just heard the beeping. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's EMF 5. It still has not blown out.
Oh.
Oh,
What?
missing localization key.
I don't know what that means. I got extinguished firelight.
Huh? Cool. Yeah.
Did you get, like, some kind of error or something?
That's kind of what it said, but I got the firelight, so I don't know.
Oh, sometimes I have one that just says evidence.
Well, there you go. I missed the localization key to say evidence.
I'm putting one at the base of the stairs. Putting one... Oh, I'm going to put a salt on each side of the stairs here. I don't know what the hiding spots upstairs are, but there you go. I don't know. Did we not...
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Oh, that tried to give me a sound and I missed it.
I can ask another question.
This
This
is
is
up throwing.
cup throwing. Cup.
Bye! Rip me. Get out. Just call it. Yeah. Hi, Liz. This is our house now. We live here. Anything fun you figure out how to do while you're haunting? You like murder? Let's go.
I got it right.
Jobs for you.
Congratulations to Pig Boy for not dying this time.
On the one map I can do.
I had the incense up and everything. It just came right up into me. I had the incense up and everything. It just came right up into me. I'm by you guys. I can hear my stream through the mic. That's fun. Yeah, that probably creates some weird experiences for all nobody watching at the moment. I think it's literally the 3 people playing or who's watching. Spritz is AFK. Oh, all right. Let's rerun that prediction. That was fun. I think the one that can do it is Liz, but who will die next? 2 minutes. Go. Everyone gets a chance to vote. That's not me, I guess. I don't know. Who died? It was Lizzie. Lizzie died first. Liz picks map because Liz died first. Also, I guess since you're the one here with channel points, you can vote on who you think's gonna die next.
Who? It's me.
I don't know. Usually it's Piggy. He lived.
Yeah, 50-50. Woodwin's been mean to me. I'd take that bet.
Oh, it says I died. That did not count as my 10th victory on the lighthouse. Fuck me.
Oh, fuck you.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
Alright. Woodwind. Alright. Alright. We have about a minute for anyone who wants to vote. That includes our dish-doing slime friend. Liz, there you go. Okay. There we go.
KT.
What?
KT Dexter.
Katie Dexter. Oh. Oh my god. I thought you saw my wife here somewhere. I'm like, what? Like, baby's here? I didn't see baby come in, baby. I love baby. Where's baby?
Video. Motion sensor. Camera.
It's not raining, so those dogs are
Chris immediately dies.
Bird the bird.
Not doll, not mirror. Bone located. Monkey's paw.
What up?
Got it. Kinda cold over here.
Hello, Mr. Ghost. Would you like to touch my EMF?
I'll
Give me
touch your
some
hand.
electromagnetic activity, please.
I'll electromagnet your activity, baby girl. Oh!
I'll help you get them electric tingles.
5.5 in this tent, and I did not turn this lamp on. I think we found it.
Oh, I got something.
Oh,
I got ghost orbs.
Ghost orbs.
got some EMF out here.
Was that a 5 or just a beep? Alright.
Just the beeping.
Right, camera.
You put 1,000 points on Chris? Yeah.
Die first.
Yeah. Be the next one to die. 1,000 points on Chris. Jeez.
Can I get it on?
Yeah, you gotta get your login working though. Hi, Spritz. Liz put 1,000 points on Chris being the next to die.
Incense go.
I don't know. Where'd all our...
I'm just saying.
Did you take it?
No.
No. She put 1,000 points on. All of her incense is gone.
Book is down. Try to record that if it goes off. Something. It's always time for spookies. It's phasmophobia. It's what the game is. The good old spook 'em up. I'm obsessed with you.
Oh yeah.
Oh, this is gonna suck in. What?
I think that was dots.
It's just been cold breath, though.
Big
Would have been cold breath, but I don't
The
disagree.
lighting glitches so much here.
Mm.
Yeah, I brought UV, so I'm gonna put salt.
Put some salt. I got
You got the video camera up.
lights.
It went through.
It's dirt salt.
Alright, no feed on that one. Oh, there's one. No VV on that one either. Temp is at 4 degrees. Ooh, just move the door. Your box needs sound recorder first. You do? Where?
My hand. Here.
Oh. Oh,
It's dirt salt.
you don't need that a third time.
I know. But no UV, you know?
It just turned off the light if you want, or no, I think it turned off.
Interaction.
We got EMF 5. EMF 5 confirmed.
Get a photo.
We have a photo of EMF reader. There's dots.
Dots! Oh, damn it.
I don't have photo on. Well, I did have photo on me. Damn.
I did have a photo, I did. But that's dots. That's EMF 5. That's ghost orb.
Shit. Let's turn the sound back on. The lights back on. Said Raiju. Dots. EMF 5. Raiju. Oh, did we get fire extinguished? Yeah, you did.
Oh, it did?
Interaction, fire extinguisher, stirb, salt, ghost doors. We get Dot's ghost. We're golden. She should be able to help with. She might have got from the truck. Okay, I'm gonna get the other Dot's projector then.
No, they're both in.
They're both in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can move whatever.
Yeah, putting both of them in one little spot like that doesn't make a difference. I was thinking we need to extend how much visible range it has. Something like that, maybe. But actually covers outside the tent. Maybe back her up a little so she can do that and get a better glimpse at it if it goes off. That's my theory. I mean, I could put it here too, I guess. I'm just trying to cover the outside. Okay, this doesn't help us much anymore. I'm going to toss her. Oh, monkey paw EMF. We have photos.
You get a video of the monkey paw moving if you want to make a video.
I'd rather get a video of the dots. It's worth more. And with photo, like anything to do with the actual ghost is worth the most money. Liz, is that a good view of the tent?
Yes, I do have a good view of the tent.
Excellent. And we know we have dots, and I was hoping we'd catch that fucker, but it's not common. He was doing it when we had the lights off. Let me read up on a Raiju real quick. We could also just respond to people who are alone. I don't know.
Get thrown out.
Yeah. We'll do whatever you can get. Even if it thrives on electrical current while generating calm, they can become agitated when overwhelmed with power. Faster around electrical devices, disrupts equipment when attacking, making it easier to track. I get motion sensed. It's not a hunt. Did you get it?
Not really at it, but
Motion sensors there if you want to do that. Pick it up when you're done, or waste you. Getting a video of the ghost is our third thing. But we do got to get rid of one of those. I guess motion sense is the easiest. It's also worth jack shit. All right.
Yeah.
Deleting motion sense, but it's in there if we want it. Well, we specifically need a video of the ghost. So we can be real stupid, grab incense, and say we wish to see the ghost, I guess.
I'll give it.
I might, Let me move Liz's camera first, and grab it, Alright, we're about to do something stupid. Be on standby to try and get footage of a ghost. Oh, there was a dots ghost, but way out of range. Alright. I'm setting it here. That's a pretty good range to see a ghost. I'll try to get a photo of the bastard, I think. I barely have sounds, which isn't great. Where'd I put my sound recorder? There it is. Alright. How stupid we feeling? Let me turn on the lights so we can actually... Well, no, it's actually weaker like this.
Yeah.
Do you know where you're hiding?
I'm that way, and I there.
Where?
I'm that way in the little corner.
Oh, alright.
Good.
Good.
Yeah.
I
Wish to see the ghost. In the tent.
I could hear you. Were you next to me? How's that 1,000 points gonna taste there, Lizzie? Hunting
Maybe
ghost.
someday.
Didn't get the photo? Shit! I tried.
Aliens.
Alright. Complete
Just got
prediction.
the video.
You could get somebody making a wish of.
Hold on. I gotta... I can just... I'm dying. If I had sugar cookies. Weird how that works. Okay, I'm back from my need to find medicine.
Woohoo!
I hope you enjoy your...
2 more pictures and 2 more recordings.
Got the video of the ghost.
Sweet, sweet victory.
Okay. I am loco bananas. Okay. Photos. God, this one sucks for photos. Okay. Okay. It should be safe for now, but if you want to play truck bitch, you can. I ain't judging right now. I can get a photo of the dead guy, I guess. Where'd you die, Chris?
Games tent.
Oh, wow, you were right there. No wonder I heard it crush your skull. What a graceful pose. Oh, Spritzy's back. How do you like the prediction game? Oh, did you catch that? Did you not? Fuck, right in front of me. Her spot. Speak to me. Thank you. Oh, video's full. Yeah, you can't really do anything in there right now, can you? Gotta
No,
actually,
not really.
gonna have to actually come out and play. Sorry.
Don't worry, I have a crucifix.
Oh, nice. I got a paranormal groan. I need to get a photo of it as a dots ghost. Or it just appearing. Either is good. So photo is the game right now. Gonna show yourself? Agitate with a lot of power, right? Be awful if you just got a bunch of electricity around you here. Ruin your day.
Hello, Mr. Ghost.
There, that should stabilize our sanity pretty well, at least.
Ooh, there goes my crucifix.
Yeah. Oh, the damn... Oh, we got... Yeah, I just need a photo of something. Okay, that works. So I need one more sound and we're golden, right?
Oh, fuck.
Please tell me that counted. That counted! That counted! We're done. We're out of here. Done, out, got it. Nice. That should be perfect.
Fuck yeah!
Give or take the dead guy, but perfect.
Yeah!
Woo! High five for the people that lived. Whoosh. Time to suck you off. Blah, 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 blah. Mason jealous yet? Anyway. You got Raiju marked?
Yeah.
Good. Let's go. LM had no chance. LM always has a chance. He lived through the lighthouse.
Pretty good. It was the monkey's paw. I flew too close to the sun.
Wow, rude. Rude, Spritzy, rude.
What?
I said, LM had a chance. He said, yeah, 1%.
Oh.
Well,
I got $400!
nice. Well,
Thanks!
is that your level up prize or something? What you picking, pig boy? You're the one that died. In the meantime, I'm going to start another prediction. Because it's fun. Boop. There you go, guys. Go off. Woodwind again. All right. All right. Liz, predictions up if you want to play. Spritzy, same game. You should have the points. Got 2 minutes to pick. If he dies before it's out, then it doesn't count.
Demon, we all go home.
It's a demon and we all go home. 510. Wow.
It's my turn.
Yeah, it's all on Lizzie. All right. Oh, sound recorder, motion sensor, escape. Okay. All right. Okay. My favorites. All right. Ew. I mean, oh, cool. It's foggy. At least you can see pretty well, actually. Oh, that's not so bad. It's not. I think this is the weather. One of the weathers where you can see Slender Man, though. So mind that. Oh God! I thought. Oh, well.
Oh, my friend.
All right. Power's on. Oh, I see the bump. No, I don't. That's just shoes. It's just haunting shoes. Liz, where's the bone? I want a bone. Found a funny little pick. What? What the hell? Did you? Oh, did you scream?
Maybe.
Okay.
Can't prove it.
She's correct. I can't prove it. Night, Spritzy. Oh, okay. Why? Ooh, why? No, you can't see Slendy Man in the fog, which is weird.
Object and ghost.
Where?
Here.
Where is here?
Still in 10.
I was in the back corner looking at for Slender Man.
Low temps, but not quite.
Oh.
Good.
Oh,
Good start.
got a picture of that.
In that
I'm at 5.
Cool. If I had a sound recorder, I could get. No, it's a 4.
Just
4.
beeping.
4. I think it's this 10.
The fog and the lighting is a very nice little combo. I actually like this a lot. Cozy. Yeah. No, the fire's really selling it. Kind of makes me want to play Valheim. I don't know how you'd feel about Valheim.
Okay.
What?
I don't remember.
Oh, look at that camera. Oh my God.
Yeah, that's nailing it.
Oh, it's doing something with the book and we can't see it, so.
Oh, perfect.
Well, we have a second book. If it,
Something.
yeah, if it actually interacted with the book, we could put the other book, but I don't think it did. I think it just threw it. We grabbed UV. Okay, we got assault, sound recorder, motion sensors on the list. So I'm gonna grab that. Following the homies, following the home. Oh, something's here, and it stopped spontaneously.
What's that?
Got that video?
Yep.
Cool. Fuck this thing.
No book writing.
Whoever grabbed the salt, be sure to place it so we can actually test it with the UV. I have the camera so I can record when the salt gets stepped in. You get 3 doses. Make them count. Got it.
I don't know if I did a good job, but there they are.
Fine, I already stepped in 1. Stepped in 2. No footprints so far. UV unlikely. Looks like it stepped in all of it. Yeah, I don't think we got footprints this time, lads. 5 degrees. Maybe. Oh, something's in here. In a bit. Are you nearby? Are you friendly? Do you want to talk? Can you give us a sign? If you want us to leave, you gotta work with me. We're stubborn. Cool, but not what I'm after.
We have a duplicate disturbed soul.
Are you French? Are you a big dumb piss baby? Talk to me. How old are you? I don't think it's Spirit Box. Do 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 do. Up. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do do do. Oh. You are the lowest sanity. You should probably pop. I'm gonna pop one too, actually. Do 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 do. Do do do. Do, 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 do. And also be sure to mind when we're not there, because there are things that dots do only when no one is nearby once in a while.
We got ghost riding.
We got ghost riding?
Yeah.
Nice.
I got video of it too.
We have orbs, right?
Video's taken care of.
Alright, that's something. I don't think it's UV. Doesn't matter. Freezing temps isn't so far. Spirit box. I would believe Mare. Not EMF 5. We're full on video, right?
Yeah. Just pictures and sound.
Trying. I need a... Well, something gave me a nice little talk in my ear.
You wanna hurt me? You wanna talk to me on the spirit box?
I don't know if it will with the,
Come on,
the
Mr.
thing.
Josie, I just need you to do it once. I get $50. Come on. Ghost uncommunicative.
Blow out my fire. Do something spooky. Oh, it's doing something. I know, but you're not giving me anything to work. We need a photo of the spirit, the writing. Have we done that yet?
I got it, yeah.
You got it? Okay, we need 2 more photos. Oh, there's one.
Was it Ritual Circle?
I think so. I thought we got the picture of that.
Yeah, no.
No, it turned into it wasn't on spot.
No, I don't think we actually have a photo of the circle. We don't have the photo if it is. Okay. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. The gate's still open though, that's a good sign.
Where?
I can just walk in and out of the...
Damn it! I wanted to get his picture, but I couldn't find him. Can you please just blow out the fire?
Show up on a sound recorder.
What?
He did not do anything near the sound recorder, so that was cool.
Yeah, I
He
tried.
like that.
Tried really hard. If the firelight goes out, that's one. That's why I'm standing here trying to record when it happens, but it's not doing it. Do something!
You wanna hurt us?
Oh, hold on. It might be talking again.
Be my friend.
That's laughing. Laughing's different.
Are you just really shy? Shy? You shy?
Did I not get that?
It didn't catch it. It
What
didn't
the
get it.
fuck?
Bullshit.
So I have to wait
This
just...
ghost likes my cuss.
Where's our second dots? Oh.
Good, my friend. You wanna hurt me? Are you a ghost? How did you die? Give us a sign.
Check the temps. It's been a minute. Oh, it did the fire when I wasn't listening to... God damn it. Spooky lit Liz. Spooky lighting Liz.
Is just holding the sound recorder enough?
No, I have to...
Screen on.
I have to hold down record. And I think having two of them right by each other might have been the
There,
problem.
that's how it works. Okay.
Oh, that counts.
Mm.
And a photo. Lovely.
Burnt crucifix. Yay!
Burnt crucifix sound and burnt crucifix photos are done.
Fuck yeah.
Negative 3.6.
One more sound.
Thames, ghost, or
Revenant.
what on this?
Whatever one I'm writing.
Oh yeah.
Uh-oh.
I think that was an event. No, are you dead? Oh, yeah, it walked right by my ass. All right, well, I got hunting ghost.
We'll travel it.
I guess Revenant picks a favorite. Okay. I think it ran right by both of us for you.
It ran straight past me.
I was like looking at the book. I just heard something like, what? And I look up and Ghost just right past me. Ghost rigged the prediction. All right. Damn.
Bullshit.
Oh, I haven't escaped during the hunt. Well, should I
The
try?
only thing we have left is have someone escape the ghost.
Yes, it is. Oh, I'd absolutely risk it. I'm a psycho.
Good luck.
Oh, I gotta end the prediction. Hold on. I have a few windows open. I do think the predictions are fun. They'd be more fun if anyone was watching that wasn't playing. Oh, I know what I can do to make this really shitty for me. Rude. Incense waster. I'm at 6.
Did he lie?
Yay. I'm gonna take another incense because he's dicking with me. He ruined the fire. Rude. thought doing that started a hunt immediately, but it's not working. At 0 sanity, I'm trying to light the candle. It's like, nah. Hi, Chris. I stepped on your butt. Yeah, it's true. It wouldn't be the first time. Alright, fine. Do something! Yeah?
You should probably run.
Nope. Bathroom doors don't work very well. What I've learned over time is woodwind is not the easiest to hide on.
What the fuck? Oh, you're dead. Okay. Well, I'm not getting that, so we're just gonna go.
Oh, you're dead.
Oh, fuck.
I'm not getting that fucking wood out.
That would. Okay, I hope you picked your pick, because I picked my pick. Bye.
For rent.
Hey, I got it right.
So that's the second time in a row I've hidden in that bathroom and been killed anyway, so. It knows you're there. You can't hide so good in that stall, I guess. Oh. I'm not entirely sure what went wrong, but it's gone wrong before. So, mind you, last time I went wrong, I could hear the ghost running in circles around me, like it knew exactly where it was and not how to path find to me for like a solid 30 seconds. It's like, okay. Well, I tried.
An attempt was.
Wanna pick the map again, Piggy? I think you died first.
Do it.
How's my money holding up? Oh, I'm fine. Liz is getting some levels, though.
Happens when you
Yeah,
don't die.
slowly catching up.
That's you know, that's what meat shields are for.
Exactly.
Ridgeview. Oh, Ridgeview.
I'm just happy.
I'm living up to my.
We've arrived. Check the equipment and get set up before investigating.
I'm not bothering a prediction. There's no one else here. It's just us.
Yeah.
Kind of a bummer. I liked having the it's fun to have that game. It's absolutely flooding my activity feed, but it's fun to have the game. Well, I'm getting breath right here and 5 degrees, so that's a hell of a start.
Yeah, it is snowing though.
Yeah, the house is just like it. Okay. I wanna have sex with you, 'cause I'm obsessed with you. And then I come. Down I go. Fuse box found. And boop. Oh, excuse me. That was lovely for all the no witnesses at the moment. Fine, I'll put it up on my my YouTube archive, and people in 20 years when I'm popular will be like, oh, I found it. The grossest belt she ever recorded.
Everybody's gotta have a good.
I'm hiding the big jar. I heard a weird noise down here. Something scooched. This? There's a ghost nearby? No. Not cold there. I have no idea. Hello? Hello? Some lights are good.
You ever think about how weird it is? These people just leave their nice, perfectly folded clothes on the floor in the closet.
Better than what I do.
Like, they've got this laptop, but they can't afford a dresser.
Yeah. I mean, there's a dresser right here.
Yeah.
Look.
Kinda.
Empty.
Wow. So they just choose to be like this.
Yep. Just like
They
me.
deserve to be haunted.
Listen, all my clothes are in a pile in the hallway. And you're welcome to help me with that anytime you want, but most people will say no. So I'm going to go ahead and say I can't judge. Well, these guys have
Mine
so...
at least live in a laundry basket.
These guys have so many, like, copies of Funk Deluxe, like this basket that's clipped into the wall.
Wow. They really put that in there hard.
Look, sometimes you just
They had to
need...
put some force in that.
Yeah, it must be a teenage boy's room. It's like slightly cold in this hallway.
Found the bone.
Like, yeah, the hallway seems like the best bet so far.
Oh,
What?
Yo,
Yo,
here.
in here,
Lights turn themselves on and
on and off.
Ghost
And we have
doors.
ghost
Oh,
doors.
1.2.
there's
Yeah.
nothing here that's drone. I got EMF also. We left. Fucking left.
I'm getting stuff. I'm scared. I'm pooping my pants. I'm scared. Don't tell them I'm pooping my panties. Okay, don't tell them. No. Seizure party, seizure party, seizure party. Camera's getting thrown. Boy, it's pretty active, whatever it is. What's the firelight?
You wanna hurt me? You wanna be my friend? How did you die?
Let's turn the light on. Light.
UV.
EMF 5. We had a sound recorder, we could record that.
No luck.
You said
Yeah,
about
you
UV?
can't get a photo of EMF 5 separate from EMF reading. They're the same thing.
Yeah, finger ghost orb. Bleh.
Obake. It really hates this camera. Did someone bring in the firelight? Oh, okay. Was that on at some point?
May have been.
It was when I dropped it in here.
Object thrown, recorded. I was saying if we put the lantern down, I can record it getting blown out.
Did I pick that up on accident? My bad. I thought.
Bye. Cool. I love when it spawns on me. I die a lot more with you guys than I do on my own.
You're on your own, you're a little more hyper vigilant.
It's more that ghosts react a lot to people talking, and I do push to talk. So generally speaking, just less happens. Oh I put the flashlight down intentionally. What the hell, guys? Oh, maybe the ghost moved it. Oh, the dead white noise is great. I love that for me. No sounds, so that's not happening. No one else does those. Like, EMF 5's a sound. The firelight getting blown out's a sound and a video. Salt is I think both. And you're getting UV, so that would get you a footprint photo and finish your photos. You got options. God, this house is dark.
Still need a bunch of sound.
Or you can just leave. I don't give a shit.
I'm gonna leave.
I mean, I'm dead. What am I gonna do? Plane? Yes, but no one will hear me, so it doesn't really matter. It basically spawned on me again. I'm just tired of that.
I'm gonna try some salt. See.
Check your sanity first. There's plenty of meds. I'm gonna have to rebuy everything anyway, so you may as well eat the ones I brought. What am I hearing? Weird. Oh, it just blew out the light in here. I think Liz has got music playing or something. I think that's what I'm hearing. Hello, weird taco Chex Mix. You're going into my deceased mouth. You know something else I do a lot that you don't do at all? Light control. I am huge on controlling my sanity drain. And you're just like, yummy darkness.
Makes it easier to find the thing.
What thing?
You know?
No. I mean, it makes it easier to find the ghost in its room, but that's about it. Even that depends. There's really no reason to have the lights off in the ghost room unless you're specifically spirit boxing or doing it for a reason. You know?
Oh, yeah, I hear you.
Saying. I don't like that the afterlife growls at me.
It's like it's supposed to be unpleasant, I guess.
It ain't serving, it ain't serving. It might not respond unless both of you are in there. It seems to be what pissed it off before. I'm just tired of losing money. That's 3 in a row, you know what I mean? I need some money. Oh, I died. I get to pick the map. Hey, there's an upside. I'm the butt ghost. I'm haunting your butt. This made a sound is the comment on EMF 5. Sure, man. Slurp. So I go find something I can throw around the truck, because otherwise, what am I even doing with my life? That's all we've got.
Yeah, we're done.
Oh. Well. Let's see Ouija board. That's right, I was upstairs, I was looking. My last theory was music box. I never got down that side and looked. Oh shit. You're being hunted. He is, in the hallway upstairs. I don't know where you are. Are you in this room we just went in?
Good luck.
Good.
Cool. Yeah. Well, I saw your light coming through, so he might have sensed your flashlight.
It's like crap.
Gotta turn it off. Hey, it must be tarot cards. I thought they were like right here in the front, or I just can't see it when I'm dead.
I hope you made your selection because I'm cutting our losses.
That's why voting for her to die first is silly. But hey, we're helping her level, Chris. We're such good Samaritans.
Hey, I got 2 audios before I died.
Yeah,
so
good
it's
job.
like $20.
Yeah, for her.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, we got the right guy.
Hey.
Hey,
Yeah.
look at that. One
point
XP point at a time.
Wow, I can buy headgear now.
Ooh, yummy.
Oh, I got something special. Weekly, collect bones. You know me, ladies. I collect so many bones. I'm doing Tanglewood. None of you can stop me. I died first. I need money. I'm bleeding money. Every death is $600 go bye-bye. I want money. If I die on Tango, I'm gonna cry and boot up something else. Be like, nah, we gonna play Barney's Alphabet Adventure or something. No, it's time for baby shit. Oh, my leg itch. Why does my leg itch? My leg itch! Fix it! Ghosts have been known to stalk their victims in the dark. I wonder if that's just trying to keep you from staying in the dark too much. Or if it actually is a thing. It doesn't sound like a thing. Oh. Oh yeah, you're being smart and checking the map. Like a person that gives a shit.
Ghost orbs.
Ghost orbs.
Where?
Right here in this hallway.
No.
Alright, you wanted to be.
I did, but the hallway's not exactly what I'd call easy. Looking for bone. Looking for bone. Sarah's looking around so she can go to bone zone. I needs dick. I mean, uh,
Right the first time.
and I have no reason to have waited that conversation.
No fucking regret.
Oh, found the bone. Delicious
Oh my
hips.
god, it's in my hand.
Oh. Yeah.
Yummy pelvis. Oh, haunted mirror. Did we get the photo yet?
I'm here.
Mwah. No one can avoid being smooched. Sorry. It's the law, Lizzie. That's for people that don't bake me
Can't believe
cookies. Here. Bedroom closet, good for hiding. Baby room kind of has its hiding spot. It's nothing.
Wanna be my friend?
I turn off the lights first, but here.
Are you friendly?
You be on
I
that,
forgot.
please. We got footprint. And we got... Okay. A get photo of that, please.
Footprint.
Footprint.
Okay. There's a sound recorder here somewhere. Here we go. Got it. Turn that off now.
Oh.
Guess it's old. Spirit box still has mimic on the table, so I can't write it off. UV. Yep, mimic's still on the table. I can't go with dots. If it is ghost orb in that, it's nothing. It's a mimic. Literally, ghost orb means it's nothing. So we know what it is. Guaranteeing.
Hell yeah.
Alright, good. How much evidence can we get before it kills us?
Infinity, I hope. We got spirit box. We can turn the lights back on and not go crazy, just so you guys know. We do need sound. Okay, phantom, poltergeist, mimic, right? So ghost orb means it's nothing else.
There's another spirit box around here. What?
No, that was me hitting the button. Freezing temperatures should be on the table eventually for easy money. Presently at 3.1 and going down occasionally, so... Yeah.
Mr. Ghost, blow out the firelight.
We have, like, jack all for video.
Here. Camera ready.
What are you doing? Oh, the salt.
Salt.
I hope that doesn't trigger 3 right on top of each other and fill up the entire deletions for the run. Alright, I'm watching it. Here. It's on. Oh, you a wraith right now. Step in the shit, you spooky bitch.
running.
What? The fuck? I was across the house! I am pissed. I am straight up pissed. That was bullshit. It is fucking me over right now. It was a ghost event of it chasing me. Fine. Then it started doing something else. Oh, okay. And it hunted and killed me immediately. In the kitchen. Well, it's like $2,000 on this shit. Oh, I'm mad. I know for a fact photos are based on client side. Because you took a photo of my body and it has the fucking cobwebs on it from the death space on my end. So it's just based on where it is for you. Sucks. I hate just standing here. I'm helping. You guys have low sanity. Someone's probably gonna want that frickin' salt, or not salt, incense, just so you know. It's hunting. What the fuck? It's slow on approach. It's a Diogen right now. Bye.
Oh, I died.
Yep. That's on Living Pig Boy.
Welcome back. There's some jobs.
Not gonna lie, my temperament's taking a southern turn here. Just so you know what happened there, it was imitating a Diogen during that hunt specifically. So you hid, but you couldn't hide from it. It was slowing down every time I got close to you. You might have been able to kite it, maybe, because that's a room that's kind of wide, but I don't know. Entangle it again, because I'm not doing great, so we're sticking to the baby house. In the baby house, and we're being mad about it. Angry. Fussy. Bitch mode. Hashtag not doing so good.
You gotta find where you beat photo.
Ew. Those only count for the ones you capture, by the way.
Get it, but like.
Open. Evil. Raj is boneless. Just like my chicken wings. Fine. Bone collected. Yes. I will not collect unless I can get a photo. Good girl. I'm just targeted tonight by the devil. Hey. Hey. Said I was a good girl, not that I was a clean girl.
Mirror.
I'm a filthy hoe, and I'm proud of it. Big dumb slut. Dirty girl, everyone come here and just let me gargle. Let's go. La, 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 la.
Now we can find out where it's at if we want to go real fast.
I'm running out of house for it to not be in, so
Get a video or something of that.
I have not been able to yet. I've tried.
Proceed.
Hold on. Boy's bedroom is staying underneath 10 degrees pretty consistently. Not seeing breath, but that's the closest lead I've got so far. I'm getting 9 from Oh, never mind, it's in here. 100%.
Oh, was it in the nursery?
Nursery.
I'm so tired of dying tonight. I don't think that I'm feeling alright. My penis is shriveled and my brain is hurt. I think it's time for me to hit the dirt and I'll die.
Who is your mom?
Daddy loves tilling the soil. The soil's on the rebound from your first dad dying. That's really dark.
The soil is your mom. You made that abundantly clear.
Boom, tish, boom, bitch, boom. Daddy wants the dick. Alright, I'm sorry I turned the lights off, but hey, could you talk to me real quick? Cool, do that one more time, because apparently I have to hold the button again.
Left herd after.
Thank you very much. I love when it's cooperative. It's a paranormal whisper, apparently?
Left herd after a destruct. Left herd after a destruct.
That doesn't mean much to me. F reading Hanamir Bone. Evidence we had spirit box immediately. Lucky us. I'm in the truck and I see everything. Show me your secrets, tell me your tales. Chris is filming from the same camera angle and he's wiggling a lot just to try and make me barf. Oh, ghostwriting, record it. I can't read it from here.
Garbs.
Excellent. Good job.
Okay.
What?
No, I got it. And fire.
Nice. Yeah, get a photo of that ghostwriting. I'm gonna bring in salt to check for UV and a motion sensor for the easy money.
I know that goes to
We need a video of the ghost. God help us all. Oh, it turned off lights. Was there a hunt or something? The living room off. Yeah, I know, you like throwing shit. You here? Be video boy.
There.
Yeah. We're putting salt and shit.
Salt.
Salt.
Some here, there's some there.
Get the UV.
Also got a motion sensor.
There's a motion sensor.
Right in the middle of the room. Hello?
Salt.
Salt.
Nothing. Alright. So be careful with recording then until we know for sure what's going on with that. No footprints there. Thinking it's probably not UV. Can you give me a sign? Maybe touch something like a door? Get a photo of the writing.
Yes.
Where's our second dots at? Liz, do you have the other dots? Well, I wish I was volume recording that.
Oh,
Dots.
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 You got dots?
Dots.
Dots.
Record
Record
it.
it. Motion sense.
Light on, please.
Get rid of the motion sense.
Sound recorder. What's up, girl? Alright, we got 3 sounds. We need a video of the ghost and 1 more photo. I don't know what to get a photo of unless we can get dots. I don't know where the other dots thing is.
You might not have it.
Should have 2. Ugh. Is this it on the ground? Yes. I believe Dot's ghost counts as video of the ghost, just so you know. Think. Coverage doing. That's pretty good, right? Want the EMF on still, or do you want to call that done? Oh, we still don't have much to go on. I've only got spirit box. Oh, we got writing, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought we had
Ghost Forms.
Did we?
I can't remember.
If we have videos, then yeah.
Videos, then yes.
Look. Writing, no orbs.
Okay.
Distinct lack of orbs. You haven't seen it yet, then I don't think it's going to happen. Oh, you said dots, so Diogen. I can do Diogen all day, okay. I believe it's a Diogen. Which basically means if we can start a hunt, we can get away from it. Oh, just turn off the power. Would not be cornered in the room with it, though. How's that? He loves tilling the soil. Okay. The soil is your friend's mom. Friend's mom? Okay. Interaction, haunted mirror bone. So I could start a cursed hunt. Try to do that for the video and the photo. You wanted. We have the mirror, and it is this guy, right? As long as we're right that it's a Diogen. What do you think?
Throwing a lot of objects, but might be our best bet.
What?
It's throwing a lot of objects, not a lot of dots, so that might be our best bet.
Alright, well I need its photo anyway. I wouldn't be there. How's that for information? Make sure you're in a space where you can move. Sure?
I'm good.
Alright. Going crazy. Buy you?
Yep.
This video?
Coming.
Get its picture? Did I get its picture though? It's very focused on me. You
Sure,
can.
no.
Delete that.
Interaction.
Delete picture! That better count.
Picture.
Fuck yeah.
Tell Liz to start the drop. We're ready.
Got it. Everyone suck me off. Let's go. You may blow me.
Oh, I met it.
Good job.
I'm nice and insane, so I'm not really picky about the details. Teeth? Sure.
Die.
All of us didn't die, and we got a ghost
it.
photo. So basically, everyone can suck all of us, is what I'm getting. We deserve an orgy of servicing. Did you know I didn't mark my stream as mature? Anyway,
369.
it's Diogen. We all marked Diogen.
Got it.
Diogen.
Thank fuck. Let's get the fuck out of here. Money. Delicious money. No, humping! 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 Humping.
Welcome back. I've prepared some jobs for you.
Can't imagine why more people don't watch me. Trying to be a good girl, but I'm not. I'm a bad girl. That's better. That's better. No one died. Does that mean we put it on random and pray?
Shit.
I could
Yes,
end on a
end
nice,
on a nice
freaking insane asylum.
asylum.
Fuck it, let's party. Random and pray. Everyone put in your hopes. Your dreams.
Don't care if I die, but just not first.
Alright. 3, 2, 1. Not the asylum. Okay, it's restricted. It's restricted. It's restricted. It's restricted Sunny Meadows. It doesn't count for anything, but it's not as big. There's 3 of us, so I don't think it's that restricted, but...
Because here seems to be linked to a cursed object.
Go crazy, motion sensor, and EMF. Neat.
We're here. We're already crazy. Oh. Okay, so this is where the, if we had more of them, the paramike strategy is supposed to be helpful. If you have 2 players and you kind of like pick a wing and focus, the range on that's like 40 meters, and you can really narrow it down. Ah, I got soda on my shirt. Oh, God, it's on my skirt, too. I guess it's time for me to get... Oh, my! I'll leave the sweater off for that one.
Ooh.
I know. As you know,
I shaved my shoulders yesterday.
basically the
Basically, the sexiest sentence you ever heard.
can't reach my back though, so that's still ape man like. Oh, dysphoria is a bitch. All right, I am significantly less clothed, but also not wet. So enjoy that information. Oh, what do we got? I got everything. Okay, let's suck it up. What's up, girl? Oh, there's another one. Oh, and we gotta find the power box downstairs. Bone in here? No. Bone could be anywhere. Half tempted to say bone not very quickly found, bone not worth it. Oh, that hiding place doesn't exist. That sucks. Okay. Alright. Spooky bitch. Downstairs, have fun. What's our Ouija board? Last time I asked where the ghost was, it literally started to hunt and killed me.
Goes. Yes, with
So much is just like a room. Cell 5. Cool. And it is 3 degrees in the chapel. Well, now it's 5. 3, 5, 3, 5, 3, 5. Is there anything in here? I'm not seeing my breath. Is it just like this right now? No, it's 9 degrees in the hallway. Yep, there's my breath. It's in the chapel. Ghost is in the chapel. We're the luckiest bitches in the world. Bone could be anywhere, but the ghost is in the chapel. I liked it because you can actually see in the chapel, you see. Problem is actually getting the power turned on. The fuse box is downstairs somewhere. Don't ask me where. I can look. I want to say it was near the middle.
I got the fuse box.
Gracias. Good luck finding the bone. We can ask the board if you want, but spooky. You have a tripod under that or no?
did not.
Okay. Fine. Trying to get us started. I know where the light switch. Hey. I love when my mouse just decides to go. I'm going to put it up here because that seems like an incredible spot. At work? I don't know. Mixed feelings, actually. Spooky bitch.
I had forgotten about the amount of blood in this hospital.
World class.
House's battery is running low. It's getting fussy. It's a stupid hoe. His battery's a whiny thing. It doesn't like it, so sometimes it blinks itself into the sky. What's it gonna do? Oh me, oh my. My mouse wants to go for a diggity ride. Whee! Something just got thrown near the front. Put the book right in the middle. Need to get the other dots projector in here on the other side probably to maximize our... Yeah. Hello. Excuse me. Gosh. Fun fact, if you Alt-Tab or go into a different window, it stops recording. Yeah, it won't let you half-ass it. You gotta be here. I was thinking somewhere it was pointed more or less down the aisle. Oh, ghost writing. We have ghost writing. I got it on video. Photo freebie. Evidence ghost writing. Oh, part of me says just put it on the podium so the dots get the furthest possible reach. I don't know. Like, it did this group up. No, just threw the camera on there. Apparently I can't see that from this far away. Don't ask me why.
Say it again. Be there. Hear me?
You get spirit box?
Phone located.
Dang. Nice.
Beer boxes. Right there. Nothing. Show yourself.
Don't forget you can sound record that.
Right.
Oh. Yeah.
How did you die?
Just hold down right click and then start asking.
Hey there. You say something dangerous. Are you young? Old? Not. Where are you?
Good news, it's not a mimic.
Show yourself. Where are you?
Probably good at his ghost writing though. Lucky me. That's $10. Boy,
Motion.
it's like a children's hospital in here.
Motion sensor. I did not catch the firelight going on, I don't think. No, the only video I've got ghost writing so far. Does anyone have the camera on them?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to put salt. Are we ready?
Grab the UV.
I'm going to. We have a photo camera on us.
There's a sound recorder out
Yeah.
In the middle.
In the middle.
What's in the middle?
No, of course.
No, of course.
there? Is this a sign?
This is interesting. You've got no motion sense yet?
Yo.
What? That's hunting. Oh, Paul! Did it kill Piggy?
I think it probably got icky.
You gotta pull the door. It's a pull door, Liz. I'm sorry.
Yeah, here he is.
Yeah.
Quite dead.
I have to check freezing temps, but I don't know where the thermo went, so I guess I'll go get one.
No fun.
Bye. Get out! What?
My friends are dead.
Did she hear me shout, get out?
She saw you die. Died as you opened the door and she.
It's not a
2%
Diogen.
fucking sick. Ghost riding.
I'm gonna guess Maroy. And elaborate as to why. I haven't had a chance to really read it. Stronger when you're weaker. But they hunt more fat. No, it's not that. Poltergeist? Really? It was throwing shit.
It was. Poltergeist would be ultra
We had a hard time testing that.
Yeah.
It wasn't Ghost.
It's not Diogen, I guarantee it. Diogen would have been avoidable. It's supposed to be a longer period between hunts with the Moroi, so I don't think it's that. I could be wrong, but me don't know.
Well, got all the check marks at least.
Check marks, check marks.
I got an achievement for my channel. At Like Clockwork 2. I've streamed 7 times in the last month.
I think I'm just gonna call her. Because I'm scared. I don't like it.
All right? Oh, spirit.
Scary. I'm a spirit. Okay.
Suck it. Well, can't say it's random this time.
Live by the random, die by the random.
I've somehow still gained money tonight. Righty then. Oh, net.
The barrel.
What?
We'll have a barrel of fun.
Talk about.
Roll out the barrel.
I don't know what you're doing.
Together we'll have some fun.
Where's that from?
It is what it is. You're playing basketball.
Yep. You're falling down. I love getting points when I don't make baskets. I love getting 3 points in a row from not making baskets. There we go. I got practice for when I'm dead. So I know how to throw good. Oh, almost had a nice clean. There we go. 90. Boom. Everyone suck it. Everyone suck it! I got 90 points! Do we want to go again? Who died first? Was it you?
Yeah.
Pick the map.
I did.
Really? Oh god. Okay.
Alright,
ready to guess.
Okay. No, you stand very still. Liz, we have to do something. See that bitch in the corner? We're gonna make uncomfortable eye contact with her.
Capture, motion sensor. Incense. Oh, good, we're here again.
Yeah, did you not hear me? Chris picked random. We're gonna make uncomfortable eye contact now. No, you come here.
You do
You do the color bar, Mike. Mike's too.
You come here. You come here. You come here.
It's not the
It's
same
not the
mic.
same mic. It's
Different
a different map.
Yeah, you picked the bigger one. Good job. No, my complaint with that last one was too little Sunny Meadows. Tonight's sex favor will be turning your dick into paste. I'm gonna get the food processor.
I'm ready.
You know what, Liz? Just for you, Liz, I'm bringing back the prediction.
Alright.
Let's see. I hit the wrong button. Come on. Load. Where'd my mouse go? Start prediction. Who will die next? Yup. There you go. Alright, it's up. Have fun. Decide who's gonna die. I am noting that you're already standing at the screen.
I appreciate that the three genders are male, female, and hospital.
And kitchen. Oh, the wing. I get it. I get it. Three-gendered wing. I don't want to do this. Okay. What? Do you? Your first response was, well, I'm ready to guess. It's your doing. You could have chose anything, and you're like, random, which may as well genuinely just be Sunny Meadows, the second button.
Oh, I found the boat.
You did?
I did.
Nice.
I found the boat. Do you have a camera?
I do.
Oh,
Came in here and Chris was already boning. Alright, what do we got? It's the board again, Chris. Do you wanna try just asking where it is?
yeah, because it has a tendency to move.
I don't care. It tends to stay within a room or two. I'm doing it.
Parabolic voting right. Okay.
Where are you? W-E... Westfowl? In... Nen... Westfalenin? Okay, goodbye. The ghost is in Westfalenin.
Linen.
Westfalenin. Excuse me while I go look up what the fuck that means.
I don't. Found the room.
You did?
I have found the room. I have ghost orb.
I am already at 37%. Turns out asking the ghost where it is not helpful.
Found the room.
Oh, there's no camera in there. Okay.
No, I took to the west all the way down.
It's the Westphalian.
Flashlight by.
Piggy vision. I've got piggy vision. Oh god, it's like he's coming up behind. No! Oh, that's a horrible time for the video to cut. Oh, scary. Doing. Oh, what are you doing? Alright. I say any better? Okay. Let me grab the other. I'm gonna follow you. Hold on. Coming. I got no fucking flashlight, so I'm trusting you.
Oh, I don't like that.
What?
Oh, I don't like that.
Can't see 2 inches in front of my face, even with the lighter on. Shit sucks. Hi, Milo. What you doing? Where are you? What are you doing? Chris?
Hold on. I'm wrong.
Wrong?
This way. Flashlight.
Hi. Hello. Yes, you're a good boy.
It ain't much, but it runs.
Yeah, I put a thing down. Sound recorder next to the thing. Are you friendly? Are you there? You want to talk? How did you die? Where are you?
Get away.
Thank you.
You get sick.
That didn't come in? Do it again. Where are you?
Get close.
Ghost orb.
Go for it.
No, I'm recording that. Shit keeps... Okay, stop interrupting yourself. Do it now.
No, please.
Thank you.
No, please.
Shut up.
Somebody's in the same room.
It's it clearly responds everyone in the same room. I got EMF. No, I got ghost writing. Okay. I don't have a photo on me. Hey, spirit box and ghost writing. Good start. Not a mimic. Ugh. We have a temp in here.
Not yet.
We still don't have power.
The side of.
I'm blind. I'm not doing that.
I got.
Hi, Liz. Want a kiss?
Hello.
Oh, nice. Oh, you got something happening. Thanks, I hate that for me. Alright, we got sounds. Hooray!
Oh, lovely. Now we just need one more picture.
We just got a light for this hallway. We'd be golden.
Getting there.
I'm coming in. Better get nutting right away. Oh no.
Oh.
Turn off your fucking lights.
Oh, this is dead.
Oh! I lived! Honey, I'll take what I can get. Oh my god, we're crazy. Oh, we got orbs.
Orbs.
Yeah, I'm not recording it, but we have it.
Evidence. Orbs. Ghost writing. Mayor Revenant They.
There.
We're down on video, but we have all the photo.
Video would be great if the orbs were counting, but they're not for some reason.
We have ghost orbs.
Oh, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Okay, well in that case it's difficult unless the ghost starts doing shit. And at present there's a door for it to touch and not much else. So it might just not be a good video situation.
It's Ghost Orb, Spirit Box, Ghost Writing Mayor, right?
Yes.
I say we leave.
Okay. I know.
It was not the full one.
It is the full one.
Yeah. If it was not, I'd be more inclined.
Totally individual.
Yeah, we sucked on video. There's like nothing to get for video here. It's such a bad spot, and it's not dots or anything. So there's really like we could put salt and firelight and motion. There's 3, but we'd still have to do something ballsy for the 5th. And I just don't care enough with one of us down already. Let's just call it Mayor. Oh my my chat reset for the day. What's up, Milo? What's up, Milo?
Welcome back. I've got
The matter. Yeah, I would have to chase you anyway. Motion Center would have gotten us that, so it wouldn't have been all a wash. But that's still 1600 because it's a large ass map. Not for Liz, she's dead, but probably.
Not surprised.
It was my first Sunny Meadows. Again, limited doesn't count. Limited does not count, so that is our first Sunny Meadow. My cat really wants my attention. Let me see what the fuck he's on about. Milo. Hello, James. What? What are you doing? What are you doing? You begging again? Hey. Okay, what's up? Want acknowledgement? What? You're calling me up about it. Please. No one is actively
They're prints.
Okay. So technically, the one who died next was Liz, who didn't vote. So. Oh well. Again, very fun. Need more than no one here to do it. Yeah.
No.
Did you pick the course, Lizzie?
I did.
Very good. Do you want to lick Chris while he's in the bathroom? Shit, he's coming back. Shit, 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 shit. What? 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 What?
What's about what? What?
What?
Sound recorder, sanity, and escape the ghost during a hunt. Okay. Hate that.
I think I had this on Sunset the other day. It was very pleasant. Yeah, it sounds amazing, doesn't it? Imagine.
Organ flavored.
Oh, bone. The bone is floating. The bone is floating. I took the photo, but if you'd like to see a floating bone, here it is.
Gas in the shadow and everything.
Yep, that's a floating ass bone. Bone's haunted. Bone is haunted. I'm taking the bone. No Ouija board, no summon circle. Turn the bathroom light on because I like it. Voodoo doll.
Oh, it's the voodoo doll.
Click. I can make things happen. Everyone take off your pants and come over. In that order.
Please, thank you. Don't want that friction.
Shut up. I told you, God. Oh, really? It was doing something over here. I just had a singing event. Did anyone else have the singing event real quick there?
Yeah, something happened.
Is it like right here?
Yes. I'm still getting EMF right here.
Noted. Oh, shit. Front yard, front yard. Between the tents, 3 degrees. Right in here. Right in here. Shush! Look, just because I found it already, you don't gotta be a cranky bitch. Man. Oh, look at our sanity already.
Going.
That's notable. That's a notable drain speed, is what that is.
I dream to begin. Watch sanity. Life's your life. I saw that move.
Mm-hmm. These lights have been blown out.
Yeah.
Putting salt. Footprints.
It served salt.
Footprint. Need camera. Get
Photo,
camera.
photo.
Do we get the photo already?
Got it.
Got it. Okay.
Got it.
Good. Nailed it. Perfect. We got UV right away. Good job. Average sanity is already under 50%. This thing's draining us like a bitch. Liz, you're under 40. You might want to come take your pills. Atta girl. For the record, the freaky heartbeat noise means you have unlimited sprint stamina until that stops.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Really cool if anyone used Sandy Meds not in the truck. Like, cool idea. Everyone just uses them in the truck. So... putting the book down. Spirit box. Are you friendly? Are you nearby? Okay, cool. And something's going off. Oh, awesome. What?
We're good.
Oh, you got dots for sure?
Pretty tough. Keep showing.
Okay, if Chris is right about dots, it's a phantom. We got Spirit Box and UV for sure. If he's not right about dots, the bad news is Mimic is on the table.
Oh, no.
All right. Motion sensor would be good. Firelight would be good. Chris, you are under 30% sanity, but we do need an average below 25, so it's not all bad if you're feeling confident. All right. I still need one more sound. One sound, 3 video, fuck us, and 1 photo. Our photos are voodoo, EMF, footprint, and bones. If we could get a handprint, that would count. A dots ghost would be amazing. Lots of stuff could work for sounds, but... I'm going to put down... Lizzie, mind that camera. I'm going to put a motion sensor. Tell me when you get it so I can take it away so you don't flood the thing with motion sensor. Oop. All right. Sounds are done. Come on, motion sensey McGee. Oh, there's firelight. Oh, we got fire extinguished twice somehow. Oh, you're both recording. You need to stop doing that. Shit. Bye. I couldn't get to my fucking incense in time. I think I had an incense. No, I didn't. I have enough room. Tried to get its photo. I didn't. That's a flickery bitch. He does not show up much. Which, to be fair... Doesn't mean anything. Okay. Really? Huh. He was very rarely visible.
Photo of the day.
What am I doing with the motion sensor? Oh. Well, what else is new lately? I swear I do good about it alone. Don't die like this. I feel pretty bad about myself right now, I won't lie. If I had a stinking camera at the time, I could have got a video of him. Well. We've got Liz on UV too, on camera too. We haven't seen any dots. Are they both set up? Where's the other? Oh. Mimic, which require you spot orbs ever, and poltergeist, which would involve a lot of throwing. You just got the fucking crucifix. Ghost riding would be the other one. So, wait, you think it's a mimic?
Through the books, I don't think.
Okay. So it's either phantom or mimic. If it's dots, it's phantom.
We have not seen dots.
I thought you said you had seen dots.
I believe I've seen dots.
No, dots would make it phantom. If you want to rule out mimic, test freezing temperatures one more time. Yeah, you might want to make sure you cap off your fucking sanity as best you can first. But temps would be it. That would be the tell for the mimic. Boys are playing. No?
No freezing temps.
Okay, so it's a phantom.
And it is.
You want to escape during a hunt? That'd make it perfect. I thought I didn't. I didn't have an incense. Okay, it makes me feel a little better. I scrolled through my shit like I thought I had an incense. No, I tried to grab one, but my hands were full. Burnt, I guess. It was late. I might just be turning stupid.
Welcome back. There's some jobs ready for you.
Got him.
Choice. 1, 2, 3, 7.
Delicious $200. 214. I would have leveled if I hadn't have died. I'm so damn close. That's frustrating.
Oof.
Revenge will be mine. Fuck you. I should probably wrap soon. It's already almost 2. You have zone tomorrow?
Oh, so it is.
I think it's foggy?
This one's all dogs. It's not raining.
It's sunset, I think.
Nothing to report, but it looks like whoever was here left in a hurry.
Shut up.
Alright. That worked.
God, I don't know. It'd be really funny if that's all it took. No, it's not sunset. It's just a very yellow tree. Just one very weird, yellow, suspiciously well lit up tree. I didn't hit F on that. I had the lighter in my hand and I crouched. I did not hit the button. So... noted. Where? Here? Games. Okay. .4, yeah. It just breathed in my ear. It's definitely here.
First, oh, dude.
Your options are looking pretty bad now. I know 2 more. There is one. Here. One of these has it. I didn't see the voodoo doll, and I don't see the music box. I didn't see the monkey's paw, the Ouija board, the tarot cards. Mirror is against the post here if we have it. I didn't see that either. Oh, maybe I just didn't see. Oh, it's voodoo doll. Got its photo.
I have bad news about that. We already had that picture.
My penis is shrinking so small. Ow, ow, ooey, ow, ee. What have you done to me? Oh, free bottom surgery.
You're welcome.
Ow. Ow. My bits. Ow.
Oh, we've got ghost orbs already. Neat.
Yep. It's not a ghost that's aggravated by me being annoying.
You want to hurt me? Give us a sign.
Oh no. That was an event of some kind. Where's that EMF reader? What's it say? 4? Cool. We got disturbed salt. We do not. Oh, footprint. Camera. Click. Too many clicks.
Too many.
EMF 5. That is ultraviolet, EMF 5, ghost orb. It's an obake. Mimic was not on the table. We got that right away. Turning this off so it doesn't ruin my thing. Downside, gonna be kind of hard to get some of this. Surf salt we got, orbs we got, EMF we got. Bone. It's left that we can actually record easily.
See?
What'd you say?
Had to blow out my light, ghosty.
Oh, I heard show me your ghosty. Oh my god. This.
Take it.
And motion sensor is motion sensor. I got paramic on. Also, I just hear you guys, but hey. Okay, we got the paramic one. Done. Say words to me. Speak to me, my love. Say language. You can turn on your light. Oh, fuck you. Look what I can do. Yeah, what now, slut? And I'm gonna go take meds to make me more sane. Feeling devious, you're looking fabulous. Boop. Liz, you are at 15% or less sanity. You might want to come take some medication. Our average is at 40. None of us are amazing, but we haven't been hunted yet, so it seems pretty passive.
Just set off first crucifix.
Oh, well, fuck me. I should have recorded that. I
We
mean,
have a-
no, audio. Why'd you do that when I wasn't here? I'm trying to record
Do
you.
it again. Do it again.
Yeah, thank you. We have another one here?
I think that was it.
Hold on.
The Iron Cross, we have 3.
Boom.
Dead yet.
Not dead yet.
Feeling devious, you're looking glamorous. Let's get mischievous and polyamorous. Wine and women and... There's light. Wonderful vices. Yeah, there's a hidey hole back here. Fuck you, ISIS. Yeah. Merc. Alright. Alright. Ready for your shit now, whore. Well, I got incense. Oh. Someone's about to die. She just stood there and it crawled and hit her immediately. You're in its room. You can't be in its room if you want to escape it. It just doesn't work. Ah. Oh, and we need a photo. There. I got it. It's a really good one. Fuck. Wasted. I have a hiding spot picked out and everything. It's just it was not kind to me. Oh, we're out.
Not here.
Not here.
Oh. You still have one?
That's a lot.
Did she use hers? I thought we had 4. No, she's playing basketball. She's fine. Okay. And it's a crawler, so I don't think you could hide in the bathroom from the bitch. That too.
Hold on. Birds are sanity.
Milo, no. Yep, it's coming. Oh. Now I'm good.
You're good because
Yeah, but it could have line of sight to
yeah,
me.
no.
Milo, are you...
You couldn't have left.
Couldn't have left, but I saw that
Or the yellow.
I'm saying it could have had line of sight to me.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Not the most clean hiding spot, but it works. Cool. I think that's, again, the perfect game if you just ignore the on-video corpse. Ass up. Enjoy that, Ruth. Delicious hole. Okay. Oh yeah, Obake, in case I forgot to mention that.
Go back, okay.
Help you, Milo.
back. I've got some jobs ready for you.
It's a good payoff for me.
Oh,
Oh, because I get the bones.
I got $500. Woo! Well, it helps. 78. Bad.
please don't.
Nice. Yeah, no, it's a good run.
UV photos and about half on the parabolic microphone.
I can't.
And only 3 more prison.
That could suck it. Unless it's. What? Oh, it's Almas a 1, yeah. Challenge mode, gotta go. Oh, right. I was reading that to Liz. No. 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 No one gotta go fast. No.
Oh,
You're faster. The ghost is
Don't wanna go
faster.
fast?
There's nowhere to. Oh my god, that's just your forehead. Hi. Hello. Didn't know Jack's Films was here. God damn. Wow. Oh. A celebrity in my midst. Oh, fuck me. There's room for so many digits. Oh, someone out there has. You know it. There's probably some, like, stupid, weird contest on, like, a subreddit or something for the highest basketball score world record. Just basically the equivalent of slightly more effort cookie clicker. And that's an insult to cookie clicker. Cookie clicker gives you points when you're not playing. Well, that one's gone. Strike 86. All right. Hey, this is my lucky ball, apparently. 2 in a row, none but net. Suck it. All right. We can get a single one with the other one. There's 3. All right. Yeah, good ball. Yeah. This ball's my friend. If they had slightly different collision modifiers. Very slightly different physics on them. It's enough to be like, oh. Because I'm doing way better with this one. Oh. Come here. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Oh, well, that was just rude. 99. Oh, well, that's 100. It counts. I did it. It's 100. It counts. It counts. I hit 100. I'm the winner. Everyone can give me big PP, mega titties, girl dick, boy dick, booby. Not a mature stream. I don't know what the line is. I don't know what the line is. You're such a cheater. Yeah, what are you up to? What, I hit 3 digits and now you got a point to prove?
I gotta get to 4 digits.
Yeah? How's it going?
143. 144.
How does it make you feel to know that I got 102 not doing that? Oh, it's shameful. Do those work?
No, just basketball work. Different object. No work.
How does it know? That's not cool.
Never.
That's a strong word. Like, yeah, good job. You put the right collision tag or group or whatever on it. You win. Oh, no, it's gone. Ball's haunted. Hi, Liz. Time to throw you through the hoop. Pick up, toss.
Hello.
This is it. This is the most important part of Phasmo. If they take this out, we riot. Right. This is... Nice. Hey. Hey, look at this. I got one.
You got 2.
Oh, you took my perfect toss away. Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're really challenging yourself there, big boy.
Challenges or NASCAR.
Okay. Here I go, NASCAR. I'm taking a left turn. I'm taking a left turn. Oh, I can't go in this door. What's inside? Almost, I see a couch. I see a couch and a table in there. Yes, Milo. I know, it's basically bedtime, isn't it? Whoa, that was Liz's teeth. You see, I've turned my gamma up to max so I can almost see something. Ever.
Amazing.
Yeah. Huge. Especially helpful for, like, encoded video and such, you see. Such as... Can I help you, Milo? Yeah? Oh. Hi, Katie! Katie's here! Everyone say hi to my wife! Say hi to my wife!
No.
Milo wants love. He's just staring at me with big old Milo eyeballs. Big old Milo eyeballs. Give me the eyes. Meow. 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 What's wrong? Just want attention? Is it just attention time? I spilt soda all over my skirt, so I'm just naked legs right now. Please don't. So vulnerable. I'm so vulnerable. I just want to do one on baby mode to wrap up. Just full on baby mode.
Make me giggle.
Friggin' amateur Tanglewood. Just be like, I don't give a shit. Let's go. Do one for the wife. Give one to the wife.
We got 5 minutes to set up. Make it count.
If I had more energy and gumption, I'd set up another prediction on some stupid like nightmare difficulty or something. Be like, hey baby, who's gonna die first? Probably me or Chris. But sometimes it's Liz. Sometimes she just stares at the ghost.
Hey, one time we all did.
Hey,
That was a hard one.
yeah.
What was that?
Mirror found and photoed. Oh. Phone found and photoed. And my baby, if you're there, don't forget to claim your points. I love you too. You sure are awake very late at night. Have you gotten any sleep in the hospital? I don't know who viewer number 4 is. I suppose I could fill them in. Wife is in hospital. Now she's watching me. Second wind. I was getting ready to wrap up, but now baby's here. I gotta entertain baby. Woke up 'cause cold. I guess that's better than waking up the way you did in Lebanon. You can just call a nurse, be like, give me a blanket. Lebanon, you call a nurse, they'd be like, yeah, we can't do much about the roasting of your flesh. Sorry about the boiled body you're dealing with. Hello, Ghosty, where are you? Where's that? Not you, Milo. I'm calling the Ghosty. I'm looking for the Ghosty, Milo. The Ghosty. Not the kitty. I can see how that'd be confusing, actually. Yeah, understood. I was gonna announce, like, what hiding spaces are safe. Then I remembered we're playing on easy mode. Oh, we got ghost writing already. Click. Sorry you're cold, baby. It just shut the door, so if you got UV, we got that. Check. Bring UV. Bring UV fast. Scan that fucking dough. I'm gonna bring salt and a sound recorder and alright. We're still in setup time. Oh lord. Alright. Sure.
Left hurt after
Okay.
That might be chance.
I didn't. Spirit box, ghost writing, good start. I put a salt in the hallway. Got orbs. Alright, give me a sec. Popping these. Sound recorder. Oh, something's over here. It just whispered hey at me. Thanks for that. Can you say something on the spirit box real quick? Do you love me? Are you playing your love games with me? Where are you? How old are you? Are you French? Do you want to kiss? Do you want to kiss Liz? Do you want to kiss me? Do you want to kiss Chris? Hey, answer my question. I think it responds to people who are alone. Here's the sound. Oh, okay. Do you want to talk to me now that I'm alone? Please understand I am definitely alone. There is no one else in the room or immediately to my right. Ignore that sound. Make your own sound.
An elderly individual.
Thank you. It's an elderly individual, guys.
Elderly.
We got a mayor. I could bring your comforter from home. You have to ask him. Try. Mayor will have an increased chance to attack in the dark. Turning the lights on around it will lower its odds of attacking. And nothing else, so we're doing that. Turning this off because it's annoying me. I'm putting this down so we can get it on video. We need a photo still. You can get a video of disturbed salt if I brought more salt in and someone recorded it. This video camera is presently looking at the cabinet. Not helpful. Okay. Oh, your phone. Okay, we'll have them plug it in for you. I love you. I hope you have a good night. Try to get some sleep. Yeah, motion sensor again. Did you remove it? Okay. Love you too, baby. Miss you. Oh, I think she's gone already. Okay. Okay. There's a lot of cooks in that kitchen. I'm going to leave the video camera alone. I'm going to bring more salt so we can get that on video. Yes, Milo? Did you put a firelight in there?
Yeah, but it's not lit yet.
Okay, after this I'll play with you, buddy. I'll find your strap. We'll do some throwabout. Alright, video camera needs to be in someone's hand, please. There we go. Okay, I'm going to pop this down. You want to record that getting stepped in. Once. Get it?
Oh,
Yes.
You both got it. You keep doing that. Only one person needs to do the camera. We record the same thing twice. Oop.
Bye.
Oh, it just blew out the candle, too. We get that on video? Our fire extinguishes a sound. And we got... Nope, we never fucking... Okay. I don't have a lighter on me. Oh, there it is. Alright. Need to record that. Recording that. I will get this. Okay. Why did you run out? Yeah. Oh. Did you take a picture of?
God damn it.
Oh, you took a picture of God damn it.
My finger moved. Yeah.
You fool. Blow out my fire.
I was like, I'll take a drink of my drink. And then my finger said, take a picture.
Blow out my flame. Make it go poof. I didn't get it on video last time. I got it on sound, which is kind of the same, but it's really not, so it's kind of lame. Otherwise, show yourself. I can't see now. There's a cat in my face. Hey, Chris, do you want the camera? There's not a cat in your face. Here you go.
Throw me the lighter.
Here's your lighter. I should go get the other lighter because I have a thing on me and I don't want to not be able to light it and die. Oh yeah, it's more responsive when people are alone. Right. We learned that naturally. Getting better at telling that. Hey, what? Could be. Milo. Meow. I'm trying to do a stream for all. Liz is in here, and I think Chris has it up. So, nobody. Everyone else is playing. Oh. It's really annoying because Chris is like, yeah, if it's late at night, that's when I'd show up. And it's like, you went to sleep immediately. You left to do the dishes, and then you went spooky, and then you went to bed. I think you lied to me. I think you lied. That's some creepy lighting on you, Liz. Oh.
Need a photo.
Hey, Liz. Look to your... Yeah, now look down. No, turn... There you go. Stay right there. Okay, thank you. I got that screenshot. I'm happy.
Okay.
You'll see. We just need one more photo.
Come on, Ghosty.
Well, they're more aggressive in the dark. Yeah. What? Yeah. Great for starting a hunt if we want that, but we need a photo, and that's the scariest way to do it. Turned off the light. Liz, do you want a nice camera? There's one right at your feet. You'll get more money. Right at your feet, that's worth more money when you use it. Good luck. Just get his picture. I think he just threw a basketball at her. Where I low-key start a prediction just for us. Will Liz die? Good news, we're all extremely sane. We're like average 86.
Object drone.
Yeah, I think video's full, isn't it?
Yeah. Video full. Need a photo.
Just one photo. And did we do all three objectives? Oh, it's got to use a crucifix. So we all got to go nuts. Okay, hold on. Milo, we have to go crazy, honey. We have to go crazy, so we'll try to hunt the crucifix. What? Get your brother from. Yeah, come around. You're starving. Dickhead. I love him. He's a dude. What's that big cookie about? You might. I might kill you. That's future Sarah's treat. All right. That might be future Sarah's week. That could be what I'm doing. Worth the $250 for the one? Yeah. Sanity vibe check. Liz's is going down extremely slowly. Almost perfect. We have basically the same, yeah. Alright. Don't worry, I can drop it.
Have you considered attacking me for real?
Hey, Liz, I'm going to give you an
Give me something
advisory.
to photograph.
Liz, you see this corner you're in? I would
Yes.
probably not be in it. I'm about to do something really stupid. So basically, we need a crucifix to go off. I know where one is. There's the other. Okay. We're going to center our crucify a bit
I'm
better.
sitting right on top of one.
Yes. I'm going to put it over here. A little bit more spread. Oh, no, never mind. Hey, how much did you use that?
Not a lot.
1, 2, 3. All right. I should now be crazy as shit. All right, that's better. We're at an average of 44. Chris and Liz are both over half. Do not do it twice. My sound sensor is now detecting crying from beyond the grave.
Shit.
What? Oh.
Are you shitting me? Good. We're good. We got the last photo. Give it.
Help yourself. But we got
That
that.
crucifix still hasn't gone off.
No, it didn't.
No, it didn't.
Free to
Go
go
in
in.
and go in and try if you'd like. He's dead.
Great. Please watch the monitors.
You're sick.
Mm-hmm. Also keep an eye on that if we've cleared it or not.
Yes, we did.
We did the crucifix?
Yep.
Cool. Out. Yeah, I don't know what happened with the crucifix. Sorry, Lizzie. God forbid we all live through it once. The thing that kills me is right before it killed you, I was in the truck and I just started hearing... I'm like, what?
Hey, Bo.
Hey, Bo.
What showed up? And I'm like, I'll try to
I'm like,
take a
I'll try to
picture.
take a picture. Oh crap, I couldn't.
1% sanity. Oh, there it goes. There goes my last. Hey, 2! Oh, we're doing good. Acceptance is the first step to... Oh, losing it all. Oh. Okay. Mayor. Burning this for fun. Burning this for fun. Cleanse the truck. We're burning this for fun. Burning it for fun. Burning it for fun. Ghost can't chase us. We're on the run. I'm out of water. Time to cry.
Welcome back. There's some jobs ready for you.
Wow, that's as much as
Losing it.
losing it intermediate.
Yep. The trade is if you lose an intermediate, you got to buy all your shit back. This gives you at least half your money back for that. But that's baby mode, man. That's how I started leveling, as I started playing on harder. Okay, I think that's it for tonight. Thank you for playing with me. And to anyone who's lurked over the course of this or sees the YouTube archive in the future, they'll I think my record is 1 view on those. That's pretty cool, right? Thank you. 1 view video in the future coming. The Sonic one has 0. The one I was like, hey, I'm playing a new game. Maybe people will actually watch me play it. 0 views on YouTube and did not get anyone new in here. Star Ocean has done me the best of all things. I'm like, right on. Maybe because I have the most input on it. I don't know. I can riff on Star Ocean. I can give it shit. I don't know. All right.
I'm out.
That was fun.
It's been good. Glorious. Thank you.
Thanks for playing, Lizzie.
Yeah.
You're almost 45. Ooh, night.
Woohoo! Hi.
And on the stream side, pow, over here now. Thank you to anyone who sees this in the future or the now. I'll talk to you later. Sorry for no JRPG today. My wife is in the hospital. The hospital. I got to take care of that. I got to take care of her. It's important. We'll figure it out. Okay. Till next time. Bye-bye.